Hey Queen, welcome back to Emotional Healing for Christian Women. Today we're talking about main character energy. I'm talking about women friendship, right? And how to form that sisterhood during this loneliness pandemic. You all will agree with me. There is a loneliness pandemic for women and women cultivating friendships. I have been discussing and interviewing a couple of high achieving women and asking them what sisterhood means to them and how they've been cultivating women friendship. And I'm beginning to find out that the way men do friendships are very different from the way women do friendships. So we're going to talk about that today. Before we go ahead, I want to talk about decoding the broken blueprint. So if you've experienced abuse of any type, rejection, neglect, the way that you will enter friendships will be very different from someone who doesn't have that kind of background and experience. So I want to talk about that because it does affect intimacy on any level, because you might just interpret intimacy equaling to danger. And your capacity to open and to trust and to connect is quite stunted. When genuinely a kind woman approaches you, your brain could go into survival mode and you register it as a threat. That fear must be named before it can be healed. Secondly, I'd like you to look at your family of origin. If your own mother navigated unhealthy friendships, constant drama, jealousy, betrayal, you likely might inherit that fear. A lot of what she might be telling you might be around don't trust friendships. And so you may never have received a healthy model for female empowerment, which is very, very important, or mutual support. You may have inherited the script that says women are competition. They are not allies, right? And that belief already makes you stay vigilant, hyper-vigilant. Now, a quick note to the heroes already in your life. For many of us, our sisters, our cousins, extended family members, they become the first and most vital connections that we have. They become our confidants. That bond is priceless. Absolutely counts as your tribe. But if you're ready to expand that circle outside of family ties, right, you need to focus on the mechanism, the how of building trust from the ground up. And that's something we want to talk about today. So we're talking about getting into why does sisterhood feel so complicated? How do I build? I'm talking about women friendships in the current climate where we've been reading so many trends about this whole debate about decentralizing marriage, decentralizing motherhood. And most women are saying that they are going back into women friendships and sisterhood. But whilst that discussion is happening, there is a quiet, serious loneliness pandemic happening right in our lives, all right? I've been talking to incredible high-achieving Christian women across the board. And I've been asking them the same thing. Why does sisterhood feel so complicated? And how do we build spiritual community that actually lasts? And this isn't just about finding a coffee date. It's not about finding emotional healing anywhere. It's about finding a safe space where we can bond and have spiritual anchors that one needs to fulfill purpose. And this is a robust message. So we're going to really talk and discuss about it. Number one, you need to decode the broken blueprint if your root has some risks. By that I mean, I need you to understand why building trust feels like a luxury that you can't afford if you've experienced neglect, rejection, abuse of any sort. It's likely that your default and what you would address as sisterhood might be broken. There is a broken blueprint, first of all. So let's talk about trauma and the abuse. If you've experienced all of that, it's going to affect your nervous system and you would have learned intimacy in a different framework, right? Your capacity to open up and to trust connections and to handle disappointments might be limited. So there is a gap in the emotional and social skills that is required. You are not being difficult. And it's actually not your fault, because this is a social skill that has to be developed and learned. And for some of us, honestly, we came to learn that in our adulthood, some in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and they're still navigating that. Secondly, I need you to look at your family of origin, okay? If your mother navigated unhealthy friendships, she's gone through constant drama, constant jealousy, constant competition or betrayal, and you may have likely inherited that fear that she has. You may never have received a healthy model for female companionship and empowerment or mutual support. You may have inherited a script that women are competitive. They are not allies. They are dangerous. Now, a quick nod to the heroes already in your life. For many of us, some of us have sisters and cousins or aunties from extended families that is already filling that void, and they have become your confidant. You already have that support community. And that's so wonderful. But some people don't have, and that's what this podcast show today is about. Let's talk about boundary trap and the mechanism of trust. We live in a culture that is obsessed with cut them off, all right? If someone doesn't align with your vibe, block them, silence them, detox your circle. And then sometimes that is absolutely necessary for your emotional healing and safety. But if you've always focused on the exit, you may never have learned the art of investment. We have spent a little time discussing the process of developing healthy women's friendships. We become masters of protection, but novices at creating stuff. So we need to pivot. We need to shift our focus from solely protection to intentional and creation. And this happens very often when you started healing and dealing with your own experiences, negative experiences, trauma and pain and rejection. And I need to say this is quite important. When you've started going through your healing and, dealing with loss, grief, rejection, and all the things that come with emotional adversities, like I call them, initially it will look like your friendships will fall off. Honestly, some friendships will just vanish away. Some you outgrow and some outgrew you. All right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And in that moment, you might experience some loneliness. It comes with doing the inner work. Don't let that scare you. And I just want you to put that at the back of your mind. All right? A healthy boundary is okay to protect you, your time, your energy, your spirit. It's not about punishing people or pushing people away. When you can hold a boundary firmly, you actually create safety for yourself and the person. And the safety is the foundation upon which that resilience of sisterhood is built, that trust. For example, if you decide to set a boundary with a friend that just calls you when they are always going through a meltdown and they don't call to check in on you to know how you are doing, and you just play the role of a therapist, it's okay to put a boundary around it, because sometimes you don't even have the capacity to hold space for someone else because of what you are going through. I want you to recognize that friendship is an investment strategy. A friend once told me that there is something called social capital. And it's true. I found it true. I think when it comes to professional landscape, we are all very quick to network. Colleagues, because we want someone to refer us to another colleague. Some call it sponsors as well. So you climb higher in your career. But I think that a lot of people also don't recognize that friendships, particularly for women, is also a social capital. And sometimes you have to pay front the cost around it. I want every high-achieving woman listening right now to apply the financial mindset to their friendships. I recently heard a guy say, women, learn to start thinking like men, learn to start investing and navigating relationships. He was talking about romantic relationships, but in this situation, I want to talk about friendships. So friendship is an investment. And like any other investment, the older you get, the higher the compound returns. The woman you pour into consistently, after you have wisely chosen, now will be the emotional and spiritual wealth you draw into in the next season of your life. What I started doing since the beginning of last month is to begin to have emotional healing for Christian women group in my community. It's free, where we come together, we talk about things that we need emotional healing from a faith-based perspective. And honestly, I do share really high quality content that normally I would give to paid clients as well. And we're looking forward to catching up and go for brunches in our community. I'm also thinking about bringing workshops, live workshops where women can come together online. So if you're listening, I know that there are people listening from New Zealand, USA, Nigeria, all over the world. I've seen you downloading. Thank you for downloading the podcast. And I'm just saying that this is part of the things that I'm looking to roll out in the coming year. So I'm going to talk about very briefly, how do you then form friendships? And I'm just going to give you very simple ideas that you're already aware. And the first thing is be kind and wise with your investment strategy of friendship. Be friendly, all right? In the world where we really don't have a lot of people anymore checking in with people, so when people who are kind check in with someone, they feel like, what does she want? They get suspicious. And that's quite sad. And that's like passive energy. So if you want to connect, you must embody it. Be the first to reach out. And well, wait, let it be reciprocal. I'm not one to tell you to keep going for non-reciprocal reach outs. All right? Send a direct message, invite him or her to coffee. That initial vulnerability, all right, that is courageous. Sometimes some people don't appreciate it. I have found that so much in the West since I relocated to Australia. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be friendly. So be friendly first. It's an energy, it's a vibe, okay? It's the first deposit you make into the communal bank account. Smile. Some of us don't smile anymore. When we see another woman, you allow all the disappointments you've had and you're so much on guard. That's okay. It's not that difficult. A smile won't cost you anything. So just smile. Now, support your friends actively. That one is a consistent deposit. This is where the rubber meets the road. Okay? Don't only reach out to someone where you have a problem. Don't only reach out to that girl, that lady, when you are in crisis or you need a therapist referral. She's not your therapist. She's your friend. All right? Cheer her on in every project she's doing. It may be in her community. It may be on social media. It may be in her career. Every interest, every small victory she's investing her resources in. Just cheer her on. And that's something good to practice. These are simple ideas. I am confident you're aware, but you just need to be reminded. If she offers a book, purchase one. Don't ask for a free copy. Your financial support is a powerful validation of her worth, all right? And that's so important. If she launches a podcast, a side hustle, a ministry, a new fitness routine, share it on your feed. Be her unpaid publicist, if I could use that word. Okay? And this is quite important because sometimes we just take people that are around us for granted, people that are reaching out and caring towards us. And what happens is that after a while they get discouraged and they drop off on the radar. And suddenly you realize that while you might be carrying on in your career quite well, you've actually lost on friendships that feel safe. They may not be on the same career ladder like yourself. They might not be in the same trade. They might not be in the same space, either married or single, right? But they are safe spaces where you can be yourself. You can grieve any loss. You can feel hope and you can feel connected. Create 3. Thank you for your support. Another thing to keep in mind is remember the milestones. Mark your friend's birthday. Send a quick thinking of you. Praying for that big meeting text. These are small but consistent deposits that grow deep, unshakable and unbreakable trust. The travel, you can pop in and say, how are you doing? Now I understand. Some of us are not that, I don't want to use caring. It's something we have to learn, but it's important. Don't forget your friend's birthday, but you expect her to remember yours. Right, I once had a relative some years ago, and she called me and said, "You forgot my birthday. You didn't wish me birthday." And I said to her, "When was the last time you remembered my birthday?" And she said, "Oh no, that's not what we're talking about." But I said, "Yeah, let's talk about it. When was the last time you remembered my birthday?" And she was quiet. I said, "There you go. And because I didn't remember this year, but you don't remember my birthday, I need to remind you of my birthday." And that's not nice. That's sad. Really sad. Right? But she picked the message and started remembering my birthday. So it's not about being perfectly selfless. It's about being wise. You're wise with how you invest your energy, and you're kind in recognizing the hard work of the women that are around you by supporting them. You teach your heart that true female empowerment means that you're celebrating the shine of another woman without dimming your own. So the next step is activating your sisterhood. You do not have to navigate this loneliness pandemic or the complexities of emotional healing alone. My calling to give Christian women the tools to find wholeness, rebuild their worth, and secure deep, meaningful connection. So if this conversation resonates with you, I want you to take the next step toward building your own circle. And another thing I want to say is this takes time. It does take time. If you're relocating overseas and you are a migrant, don't be too quick to form new friendships. Don't be too quick. It will take time. I know you might be in desperate mode, survival mode, and not realize it. And because you want quick connections, you're needing support, you're needing to connect and settle in. It takes time for people to build trust, to be honest. And suddenly you realize that you left a lot of friendships back home and you've come into a new country, into a new place, and you just need that support. The people you meet on the ground are human. Some people are suspicious and they go like, "Oh, she's vulnerable now, she needs support." And some people have experienced what it means to be used and discarded. And so they too are being cautious. They don't want to be used and discarded again. So when you relocate to a new country, to a new community, or even a new state in your country, give yourself time to cultivate friendships. It can take between 6 months to 2 years to cultivate friendships. And I just want to encourage you, the way that you go about cultivating friendships is not just about visiting one another, sit down or get a coffee together and just gist. No. I learned this one. Schedule an activity. Say, for example, you can go swimming together. You can go running. You can go bowling. Create an activity of interest over which you can meet. And particularly if you want to make friends with those that are outside your culture, it's not just about sitting down and talking. And most Christian women have actually outgrown just sit down and talking. What they want to do now is to sincerely sit down and have fun and not necessarily just talking. All right? So my book, Beyond the Hurt, I did say some things around healing, building relationships, building friendships. If you need a deeper dive into the mechanism of healing from past trauma, building resilient boundaries, please purchase my book. It is packed with those practical steps that we discussed today. Now join the group. I do have Emotional Healing for Christian Women group on Facebook. All right. We run intimate bi-weekly women's group in person in Ballarat, Victoria. Okay. Dedicated to intentional emotional healing and building Christian sisterhood in a safe space. The doors are open. The link to join is in my show notes below. Intentionally, I have left this group for those who listen to my podcast. I have not announced it on my socials page intentionally because I noticed that people who listen to podcasts are people that really want to grow and they are intentional. So they've taken time to listen. And I hope that you do join the group. Now, I like you to get ready because we'll be launching online Women Lives group in the following year as soon as we prepare for our transformative, restorative women's retreat next year as well. So you can get all the early bird details on my website because we're going to have our women's retreat next year where you can truly have the sisterhood, where we have conversations that are real, that are heart, high-performing women, high-achieving women like yourself. No, you don't have to be a professional. You can be an at-home mom and you can be very professional around it. I used to be like that when I was an at-home mom, and people thought I worked in a business. I heard a neighbor say, Mav runs her family like she runs a business. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I had a business card with it. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you're doing it with excellence. That is what is most important. So don't let the word high achieving, discourage you. And you go like, I don't belong to that circle. So your best self is waiting to be shared. And you deserve a circle that empowers you, that empowers her, that version of you. So put on your boundary pants, commit to investing strategically, and watch your life move from loneliness to fulfillment. Recently, I was speaking with one of my friends who is in her 50s, and she was just saying how lonely she had become. Her kids are in uni, and, empty nest. And I said to her, start a women's group in your community. It will amaze you how so many young women are looking for someone to mentor them. Just start. And she said, I'm already so busy. So, well, have a think about it. You never know. And sometimes, just by helping other people there, you find that fulfillment, you find a contentment, and you're also building a sisterhood that you never know you might need somewhere down the line, women that are going to also pour back into you. So that will be all in conclusion. Sisterhood friendship is beautiful. I've heard some people demonize it, and I completely understand. If you've been burned, you've been hurt, you've been disappointed and rejected, perhaps your healing is also going to happen in women friendships. But just keep in mind that the way women do friendships are very different from the way men do friendships. I think when we start understanding that, that's going to really help us. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay beautiful, stay confident. God bless. Thank you for spending time with me today on Emotional Healing for Christian Women. If this episode blessed you, please leave a review and share it with a friend who needs encouragement. And don't forget to download my new book, Beyond the Hurt, from my website, marveladeyemi.com.au, and other free resources. Until next time, stay healed, stay beautiful, and stay confident.